Now we're gonna load it. This is a dash cluster pod you can buy, 3-gauge cluster, old school. This is your water temperature. This is your voltage. And the last one here for oil pressure. See? Oil pressure, voltage, water temperature. So we're going to load these into the gauge pod cluster, the right-hand drive gauge pod cluster. And all it is an injection molded piece of plastic, molded for the right-hand side of the car. Okay. I brought some tools, nothing major, standard pair of pliers, that's all I'm going to use. And I'm going to pull out the light bulbs for at night, which I've already pre-wired into the unit. They have a nut attached to them. It's a little nut there. Holds the gauge pod cluster in. Here's your gauge. This is the bracket that goes on the back, like that. And then of course the nut goes on there. So since this is going to be on this side of the car, we need to make sure we got our gauges facing the right way. Like that. And I'll put my hand on it and I'll load it. The bracket on it. And there you go. That's one. 2 more to go. And of course I'm just finger tightening all this stuff, because when we actually put it in the car, I'm going to have to run all these wires, run this, this gigantic mess. I'm going to have to run it too. But for now, we're just going to load it. Let's stuff it down the hole. Let's stick the gauge in there the right direction. Everybody puts the nut on, tightens it down. Stick that in there so it's out of the way. Right like that. Just fold it out. This is a tube with a spring coating on it. That's what that is. Now we're going to do the volt gauge, which has a bunch of extra wires on it, which is orange is power, ground, and voltmeter is to the power supply on something. This one has rubber grommets on this bar to protect it. See the little black grommets? They don't create voltage that way. And then you're left with the little metal manufactured ring. It's got 4 holes across the top. This is what's installed in the wagon on the dash, like that, vertically installed with 3 gauges in it. Here's the voltmeter. And then as you can see, this is the ground terminal, because it says right above it, it says pot negative for ground. This one, the gray one's connected to the positive side, which goes to the positive side of the battery or a positive side of the alternator, depending on how you do it. This is power for the lights, these lights. And of course, you've got the long connector. And all these positions may change. They may stay where they're at. Or Jeffrey may completely change his mind and completely into a completely different cluster. We don't know yet. I told him I'd load them, so that's what I'm doing. I'm loading them. Now we take one bulb and put it in the hole here for that one. I'll take it and put it in the other one up here. This one gets put in the proper cluster there. And of course we got power supply. It's done. It looks like this. All in a black cluster, ready to go. And then this, of course, is the packaging that it comes in. Comes with instructions, which I've installed enough of these. I don't need them. This is the tubing for the oil pressure. Yeah, plastic, PVC, vinyl coated tubing. Yep. And this is some more hardware. The nuts and bolts. There's the screws, the nuts, the washers, and all that kind of stuff. And this is your ferrule fitting kit. It has a couple of brass ferrules in it, some ferrule cap ends, and some other stuff. And these are the additional spacers and accessories for the temperature sensor. And that's how you do it.
Yeah.